Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for registering and participating in this webinar. My name is Stella Wawi and I'll be the moderator of the session. Before I introduce the facilitator, let's observe some housekeeping rules. I would like to inform you that all lines are muted. However, if you have any questions or comments, kindly drop them in the Q&A box in the upper right corner of your screen. In case you are having internet challenges and drop out of the call, please join back using the link you received via mail. Thank you. Now let me introduce to you, ladies and gentlemen, the facilitator of the session, Frank Sombo, Head of M&EL at WAXI. Thank you so much. Frank, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Stella, and welcome to everybody. It's a great pleasure to work with you this afternoon in learning different ways to support organizations during this critical time. As Stella has mentioned, we are working with WAXI, a regional organization that provides capacity strengthening for civil society across the region in West Africa. And we also support organization in technology. So it's a great pleasure. And it will be a very open conversation. So we do encourage participants to contribute during the conversation in the chat box. So what brings us this afternoon together is really looking at how do we maximize organizations' effectiveness during the remote working period. So the first question that we'd like to find out is really what are the advantages and disadvantages of remote working and how it affects non-profit work. So as we run through this session, we will really be looking at the different opportunities and challenges that we are faced in the remote working context, and also identify possible resources available to respond to the remote working situation, describe the benefit of certain key tools and resources for organizations' effectiveness, and then select and apply context-relevant technology resources with more confidence to achieve greater success in the digital workspace. Welcome again, and we hope to have a very interactive session. So what is remote working? Basically, we could say that remote working is working in a virtual environment as opposed to a physical one where you interact and you engage with colleagues and partners using digital resources. So remote working as opposed to physical working will entail the use and application of different tools and systems to ensure that you are able to respond effectively to the obligations of the work that you are conducting in both internal and external engagements. And we have a definition here that we can look at together that says that is a working style that allows professionals to work outside of a traditional office environment. And it is based on the concept that work does not need to be done in a specific place to be executed successfully. And the situation that we are facing really challenges us to find new ways of working that really do not restrict us to the physical environment. So, as we mentioned, we'll be considering some of the advantages and disadvantages. We could see that remote working gives us a certain flexible approach in our ability to manage our working style and our personal or lifestyle. And for instance, instead of commuting to the office each day from work, you can work from home and execute your different assignments, and sometimes even surpass the goals that have assigned to you. And there is a research published by the Royal Society for Public Health in the UK that found that 55% of participants felt more stressed as a result of their commutes. So by eliminating the commute and letting remote employees work in an environment that they are comfortable in, they can basically employers can nurture less stressed out employees, And definitely when employees are healthier and happier, that helps to produce better work and feel more committed to their organizations. And that also really accounts for better health and wellness of your staff, because you'll agree with me that when staff are less stressed out, they feel better, they have a better morale and better predisposition to deliver their work. And we also have renewed passion for the job. There's one thing with going to work every now and then is that in addition to the stress and other factors that you may encounter, there is a likelihood that you really get into a routine mode, and really starting working from home or remotely kinds of break away from the routine and may give you a certain tendency of renewing your passion and commitment for the job. And if you are someone like me, I guess you may have different notes, notepad that you have that have very insightful ideas that you will have kept for a long time. And during this time, you may stumble on some of those brainstorming that you've had, and that can really spark new inspiration. And also definitely higher productivity. That is if you're able to manage your time very effectively, and then also eliminate distraction. There is cost-saving benefit for both the employee and the organization, in the sense that you do not have to incur the cost of transportation, and the organization does not have to maintain maintenance, and also possibly reduce the cost of renting for the space that you are occupying, depending on the arrangement that you have with the landlords. Then employees also can be more engaged because they have more control of their time and their schedule, and they are more responsible for the decisions that they make about how to manage their deliverables. So they can tend to be more engaged and have that kind of flexibility to deliver at their own leisure, and sometimes even go beyond the normal working hours, depending on how they schedule their time. However, like every other aspect of life, there are some downside, and part of those for the remote working, there is the loss of direct physical engagement, which could potentially result in cultural disconnect for staff, and then also communication challenges, because of course you rely on communication tools and resources to be able to deliver your work. So you need to ensure that you make the adequate selection of the communication tools that will meet the needs of your organization. There may be some challenges around accountability, because staff will no longer be in the office where they have a direct control from their supervisors or their managers. So that can leave way for some challenges when it comes to ensuring that accountability is maintained. There is a potential loss of productivity if you are not able to filter out distraction and noises. So that really calls for deliberate action from the part of each and everyone. And lastly, we have also identified potential risk around digital security, because staff may need to ensure that they maintain a very high security level in respect to the tools and the application that they will be using to deliver their work. So basically, these are a few of the pros and cons of remote working. And like we said, it's a very open conversation, and we encourage you using the chat space to interact and to share your own perspectives. What are some of the challenges or some of the benefits, or let's say opportunities that you have identified? There is definitely an opportunity in terms of transforming the workplace, collaboration as an imperative for your organization. And 86%, according to a study, revealed that leaders cite the lack of collaboration or ineffective communication as one of the top reasons for workplace failures. So there is a significant opportunity here to ensure that as we are going remote, we do not break away the ability to maintain touch and collaboration with our team members. Also, 65% of leaders agree that moving from hierarchical to team-based working is critical for their success. But in practice, just about 7% are ready to move on with the new reality. So basically, all of us like a situation where we are able to maintain the structures and to maintain the status quo in terms of ensuring a very responsive and accountable organization structure. But the remote working kind of imposed on us to look at different ways of working, and for your employees to be performing well, you need really to make way to ensure that there is trust and there is responsibility. That kind of reduces the dominance of the leader in kind of monitoring very closely how employees are able to work, but rather stepping in the role of a facilitator and an enabler. So really it gives an opportunity for leaders to put themselves in the position of coach. They can organize one-on-one coach where they check in with their staff members and also ensure that their team has the right morale and the right conditions to perform. So basically that's another aspect of transformation that we can consider. But let's look a little closely into how can we really overcome the challenges that organizations are facing. And these align with the challenges that we identified. We spoke about maintaining a cultural fit, which invite a deliberate ability to maintain and build organizational culture. And you will agree with me that if within this period you are to welcome a new staff on your team, you need to double up on your efforts to ensure that the new staff or the newcomer is welcome and really feel integrated in your team. So there is more effort to be done to ensure that organizational culture is maintained and effective. You also need to create the consciousness within your organization that you have a dedicated workspace or a meeting place or environment where you are able to interact and to engage with your staff and colleagues. And you can use different means for that. So basically, the cultural barriers is something that we need to recognize and intentionally work to overcome. And then we also spoke about strengthening communications. So you really want to identify and use trusted communication channels and tools for virtual environments, for virtual engagements. And this is really one of the major reasons why we are here, to look at the different options available to you in ensuring that we can make informed decisions about the tools that could help our virtual engagement. We spoke about accountability. And again, that's really is an invitation for us to work at establishing and maintaining a culture of transparency. So if we make staff to understand that we trust them and that we also work with them to support them in the trying times, then they feel more encouraged to deliver. But then as we do that, we also want to set clear lines of responsibilities so that they can take charge of what they are doing. And one way to do that is also to make sure that we can use applications that have aspect of tracking time, for instance, or distributing roles among colleagues, so that you can really check on the timeline or the deliverables rather than the time at which they have to be on their computers. And we also looked at how to increase productivity. So that is ensuring that your members have a very good structure of how they manage their work day, and that they are able and familiar with the tools that have been agreed on or that the organization has set out to use for each and everyone to be productive. And that's a very important aspect. So many organizations begin to use different tools without necessarily creating a culture that helps staff members to adopt and own the systems. So you should ensure to have what we can call technology adoption champions, or somebody within the team that really kind of remind colleague every now and then to continue to use the tools and support them when there are challenges. Digital security is also one aspect that is important, and we encourage organizations to use strong password systems, and if possible, really go for a password manager. And there are different password applications, password management applications that are available that use encryption systems to really protect you and protect your data. We encourage the use of encryption tools and invest in the use of virtual private networks known as VPN. So what the VPN does basically is to help mask your identity, especially if you find yourself at a place where you suspect some activities that may intrude into your network, or that you are not sure of the security of the connection that you are using. Using a VPN will really help you to stay safer, and not to compromise with antiviruses. Ensure that you have genuine antivirus application and that you maintain them up to date, because the weaker link in the chain will really affect the whole organization. So it is of prime importance that the organization ensures that their staff use up-to-date antiviruses and remain safe for the benefit of the whole team, and also for the confidence and the morale of your team members. We also encourage staff to lock their phones and laptops, especially when they are not using it and it's idle for some time. You may never tell exactly where you can have a challenge. So these are a few suggestions that we have, and we really think that in applying some of these steps, every organization has the means to improve and to support their remote working. Before we move on, we would like to get any feedback from you. What has been your experience so far? What has been working for you working remotely? And where have you encountered some challenges? How have you experienced the remote working situation? Kindly post your questions or comments in the Q&A. And I think it's the right time also to take a quick poll. So once you are introducing your comment, we would like also to invite participants to take this quick poll. So the question put forth here for this poll is, how are you coping with the current remote working situation? And the first option you have is not coping, too hard to adjust. The next is gradually coping, trying to adjust. And then the third option is easily coped, taught me new ways of doing things that seem to work for me. So please take just about a minute or two, click on the link that has been posted, and kindly share your thoughts. Okay, we are receiving some questions. Are there any sample of application that can be used to track and or assign tasks to colleagues? Yes, definitely. There are applications, and as we go on through the presentation. We'll learn more about those. Okay, we are having the responses coming to the poll. Keep responding. Okay, so let me share briefly what we have so far. So you can see from the responses we have so far, they keep coming. Majority of respondents are gradually coping. Yes, and that is being confirmed. Gradually coping, trying to adjust, gradually coping, trying to adjust. But following closely behind, we have easily coped, taught me new ways of doing things that seem to work for me. And we've received 19 responses so far. You can please keep your responses coming. We just have one person saying that they are not able to cope, that the situation is too hard to adjust. We definitely understand that the situation will be varied for many people depending on different factors. I think that's quite enlightening for us to learn and know how we are able to adjust. One more submission. I think we can pick it up from here and continue. So let's return to our presentation. I'll stop sharing and then we'll return to the presentation. As we just continue, I think as of now we have 23 responses, with the majority, that is 12 respondents, saying that they are gradually coping and trying to adjust, whilst 10 said that they have easily coped. So basically, more than 50% of respondents are gradually coping, whereas about 45% have already coped and feel very comfortable moving on with the current situation, which is not bad at all. So we can continue and then look at different tools. We will have another poll quickly, very soon after we look at the different tools, but we would like to go over four main categories. And the first category that we have identified is the office productivity tools. And as we are all familiar with those two, I will not elaborate too much on them, but they are made up of applications like Word for text processing, Excel, or Google Sheets. So Word is Google Doc for those who use Google. Then Excel and Google Sheet that serve as for data processing and analysis. Then you have PowerPoint or Google Slide for those who use Google. They perform the same role of facilitating presentation, designing and presenting, and then other applications like OneNote and Publisher and so on and so forth. So those are basically tools that we interact with on a daily basis, and they are part of the different applications that are helping us whilst we are working remotely. However, you can leverage those tools even better when you are able to tap into cloud-based features. So assuming you are working with Word on your desktop, but you can work alongside with colleagues that are making inputs whilst you are on the document. So this is co-authoring or collaboration in a real time, editing and making inputs to documents to really cut on time and then cut out on the time that you use to finalize a document, assuming you are pressed by time and you have very strict deadlines. You will not wait until you receive all input from your colleagues, but by working together, you are able to save time, which is very good. And for those who use Google Docs, that is already embedded in Google Docs. When you are working, you can share the link to allow your colleagues to make inputs. Now we will also look at storage applications. There are many of them available, but some of the most frequent are Google Drive, Box, Dropbox, and also OneDrive for personal storage on the Microsoft suite. So basically, these are different tools that are available, and they help facilitate your experience for the remote working. We can look also at the communication tools, and you can begin looking at just the mobile phone that we used. Sometimes we overlook it, but the mobile phone is pretty handy. It could be the mobile phone Android you are using, or just any other phone that you can use to make calls, including landlines. But we are also using WhatsApp more frequently, especially on the continent. You have Skype, you have Zoom, and then you also have Meet now from the Google suite. You have Cisco WebEx, GoToMeetings, and Microsoft Teams from the Office 365 suite. So these are some of the communication tools. So when we refer to communication, we mean application that can help you to chat or make calls at every point in time to reach out to your team members. The last category we have looked at, we are looking at is collaboration tools. And so those collaboration tools help you to interact and engage beyond the basic chats and the calling features. You can work on documents together. You can interact in groups, more than 5-10 groups sometimes can have meetings, or you can integrate your document or your reports in a very seamless manner with various integrations from other third-party applications. So you have tools or applications like Asana, which is a project management tool. You have Slack, which is also chat-based, but goes far beyond just the chat to collaborate with your team members. You have the Google suite, and you also have Office 365 and Planner and Teams, which are both part of the Office 365, but they stand on their own merits as collaboration tools. So this is like a very broad overview of some of the tools that you can use to assist you in this remote work experience. And again, we have a lot of sharing going on. So we are glad to learn from how you are using those tools. We have a number of comments that you have made. I will just glance over some of them. And we have a dedicated Q&A session where we will be able to take more questions and comments at the end. I could see a number of questions on, for instance, what are VPNs? So VPNs stand for Virtual Private Network. And you can access a VPN either through an antivirus application or as a standalone application, or sometimes even the internet providers do also have that embedded in their service. So if you are able to just do a basic Google search of VPN, you'll find different applications that offer the VPN. And what they are meant for basically is to help users stay safe online so that they are not being tracked through their IP address. So if you are at a place, especially when you find your place at public places where you are using internet that is not necessarily yours or is not a private network, you really want to blur your identity so that you are a bit safer. So I think that also touches on the next question on how do you get a VPN? What do you do when you don't have an IT expert in your organization? And that's a very good question. As TechSoup, we are a go-to platform for non-profit organizations. So please, if you need any support or assistance in guiding you in the process to access the tools that we are talking about, or any other type of demand that you have, you can please reach out and we'll try in the best of our capacity to assist you. You have the contact to reach out to the TechSoup team later during the engagement. So thank you again for your questions and comments. You can keep them coming. And those that we do not answer directly during the presentation, we can take them over later when we are having the Q&A session. We can move on to look at the tools that we have mentioned a bit in details, trying to focus on some of the major tools that are available to you. One of them is Zoom. Zoom is a very popular application for calling and interacting with your team members. It has a very high subscriptions globally and is in high demand. So there are different ways that you can use Zoom for you to be effective at the workplace. You have different plans to use Zoom. You have the basic plan, which is free, so you don't need to pay for that. You can just go on to the Zoom URL. It's zoom.us. So once you get there, you will be offered the possibility of choosing the plan that you want to go for. And then if you choose the basic, you just sign up, you enter a few details, and you are just set up to begin using Zoom. As simple as that. And the basic plan gives you up to 40 minutes of call. Then right above the basic plan, you have the Pro plan. That gives you up to 100 participants on a call. And then you have the business plan, where you can accommodate up to 300 participants. And you have the enterprise plan, where you can accommodate more than 500, up to 500, and you can also opt to add more if you pay additional participants, for more additional participants. And you have also a webinar option for Zoom that can help you to have like a chat-only engagement during a meeting like we are currently having. So let's dive into some practicals to look at how you are able to use Zoom as an application to support your remote working experience. So I am sharing my screen, and we'll just do a quick demo of how to use Zoom to have a call. So as I mentioned, you have my screen shared with you. So when you log into zoom.us, right, you have the landing page. You can join a meeting by just clicking here. And then if you have the meeting ID, you just type in the meeting ID here and you join the meeting. But now, one thing that happens with Zoom, for instance, is that you are mostly prompted to use the application for the meetings. So it is highly recommended that you download the application for you to be able to enjoy your Zoom calling service. So that was one option. We'll have the call in a bit. but we can go on to look at other options. So this is when you are joining a meeting where you have been given the ID to the meeting. Then you also have an option where you are the host. And in hosting a meeting, you have an option for screen share only, an option with video on, and an option with video off. So that means your participant will only be hearing your voice. If you have the Zoom account, a Zoom account on any of the plan, you can just sign in and enter your details. Then this page will reflect with your own details. If you don't, you sign up here, and like we said, it can give you access to the basic plan. So these are the plans and pricing options. You have the basic, which is free, the pro, business, and enterprise. All of those are available, and you can choose the one that mostly suits your need. You have other options for conferences, and this one for webinars. This one allows you for Q&A live or text answers, as we are currently having. You can do polling and then have more details on registration log and reporting. So the choice is yours to identify the application that best suits your need. There is a feature which could be of interest for organizations that have a diverse audience and that need interpretation, for instance. So if you need your meetings to have an interpretation service whilst you are having the Zoom call, you can go for at least the business, enterprise, or higher. So these are the options that can help you to have access to the interpretation service. So like I said, let's try to do a quick demo. So assuming I have signed in now, and I've gone on to the Zoom app application. So this is the Zoom application that is signed in with my account. So when it signs in, this is my interface. I can decide to go for an impromptu meeting right now. And when the app is open, I can invite colleagues to join. If it's a meeting I've already booked, I have my meeting ID here. I can share my ID to colleagues and they can join. This is the personal meeting ID, which is more like a default ID for yourself. Now, there have been recent developments with some security issues on some of the Zoom meetings. And recently, there have been a lot of work done by Zoom to ensure that the security levels have been enhanced. So currently, if you share your personal meeting ID, in itself, it is not sufficient for you to host a meeting. You are highly encouraged to use a password. And so Zoom has made it a default option for all their users to communicate a password for their attendees to be able to host a meeting. And they have also added other features. You can lock your room so that intruders will not step in, and among other different options. But let's just go and do a practical session. So I am having an impromptu meeting right now. So this is the interface and the options available to me. I have my mic which is open. I can close my mic. This is the video. I can put the video on. Then I have other security options like I have mentioned. I'm alone here because I'm the host and I have not invited anyone yet. And this is a chat space for you to engage with your team members. And you can share your screen just as we are doing with the Teams app. You can share your screen with Zoom. And again, as part of the security measures to enhance the security profile of Zoom, by default, Zoom has disabled the ability of participants to share their screen outright and only given that right to the host. So it's to the host now to delegate participants to share their screen. So this is another measure that has been taken to enforce security systems of the Zoom app. And here you can record your meeting when you start, and this is the end button. So let me try to invite someone to join the meeting. So I have the Zoom logged in. I come here to invite others, and I can decide to invite one person or many more. So I have one account that is here. I'm inviting a colleague to join. So the colleague who will be joining will be made to wait in the lobby. So you see, this is the acceptance notification that the colleague is entering the room for the meeting. So I can go and check who is there, or I can admit here. So let me give you that option so that you see. So with the name of the person, and then I admit. If it's not someone I have invited or someone who is not admitted for this meeting, I can just remove the person. So currently there are 2 people in this room. So I'm here with a colleague. I'll ask my colleague to put on the sound. Hello. And you can activate your video. I'm here with a colleague. Hi, good afternoon. How are you doing? Okay, so this is a quick demo of the Zoom calling features. So thank you very much for supporting in this exercise. Nice one. Okay, so once you are done with your meeting, because I am the host, I can end the meeting straight here, but the participant will have the option of leaving the meeting. So when I come here and I click on end, I can also decide to leave. But what happens when I leave is that the meeting can continue with the other participants still in the room. If it's not something that I wish to do, then I just put an end to the meeting and this meeting has ended. So this is how you can invite colleagues to join. So this was an impromptu. Now, assuming you want to plan a meeting ahead, so you come here to schedule, and when you do schedule, you can choose a date when you want the meeting to take place. So it could be like next week, Monday, right? Because this is on the basic plan, you can't go beyond a certain duration of your meeting, and you can decide which option you want to allow by default, whether they are joining with their video on or off, right? And then you can go to advanced options, enable waiting room. So you could decide that they can skip the waiting room to join you directly. But this is by default enabled by Zoom as part of the security measures. So it's up to you to decide whether you want to customize it at your own pleasure. So, and then when you have agreed on the timeline that you are okay with that, you set the time, you can schedule the meeting. And at that particular time, on Monday, 3 p.m., I can host the meeting with that person. But let me continue with just a quick tour of other options you can have with Zoom. So with Zoom, when you come to the chat, you see different options like you have a stealth message, contact request. That is if someone has sent you or you have sent a contact request. Like you notice that this contact was part of my address book. There are files here if you have shared files. This is yourself. And here you can create channels. So you can go to that plus button and then create a channel. So it means that when you have your Zoom account or your Zoom application, you are not only left to basically making calls when you want to, but you can also have chats with your colleagues directly on the Zoom account. And you notice that the messages that are sent on Zoom are encrypted. End-to-end encryption are applied. So if you are not the end receiver, then you may not be able to read it directly. And then you can also add in application that you use. We have mentioned some collaboration applications. For instance, you can look at one like Trello, even though we haven't discussed it on the slide, but Trello is one of the collaboration tools. and you can enable Trello as part of your Zoom application, and you can engage with your colleagues and set tasks with timeline, distribute roles within your team members. So this is one of the project application that you can use along with Asana and other tools. So when you come here on meetings, so these are meetings that you have booked, right? You see this meeting that I just booked for Monday, 3 p.m. So this is the meeting that has reflected here. So at the time of the meeting, I just come here and then I do start, and the meeting gets started. So, and then your contacts are here along with your channel. So basically there are different options and features available to us. We just need to know how to navigate around the platform and just keep practicing so that we get better at them. And we really encourage staff to use and explore those applications so that it will help them to be more efficient in their work. So that was it about Zoom. I'll stop sharing the screen and we'll go back to the slide. And we are now back to the PowerPoint presentation. We are also interested in reading your comments. So please, if you have any comments on the tools, how have you been using the applications in your organization? What applications do you use the most? There is a question on, with most of NGOs employees lacking access to internet, what are some of the offline applications you can recommend or other ways for these organizations to work remotely? That's a very good question, Daniel. Thank you very much. So we have gone over some of the tools like the office productivity tools that are pretty handy to help us to be efficient and also to ensure that we are productive. But we do encourage that organizations keep those applications up to date, because if you are not using genuine licenses or they are not up to date, you may run into some challenges. But please, we encourage colleagues to also share their views and perspective. And we would like to take a second poll to find out what are some of the tools that you are using. There's a question on the channel feature on Zoom. So if you go under the chats tab on your Zoom application when it is open, you realize that there is this plus button right below where your name is. So when you click on this plus button, you'll be able to add some services, and that is when you can really create a channel, right? And then in the channel, you can add staff members or those that are on your team, and you can have engagement and collaboration, share documents for you to work on them together and share your perspectives. So here we can take a quick feedback from you on the tools that you are using. So my colleague has posted the second poll. Kindly click on the link and take the poll. We would like to learn from the tools that you are using and how they have been working for you. Just 1 or 2 minutes, and then we come back to continue. Let your responses come. Just click on the link and begin to submit your responses. So the questions we have on the poll is, which tools do you use most frequently to collaborate with colleagues and engage. We are getting your responses gradually. We have WhatsApp. So let me share the screen. So the options we have Zoom, Teams, WhatsApp, email, phone, and then other. And we also have none in case you are not using any of those. And currently WhatsApp is trending in a comfortable lead with 4 of the respondents out of 12. That's 30%. Email, of course, because email makes up like our daily routine. WhatsApp, again, is trending. Let me pitch in a little bit into the other to see the options we have there. Google Hangouts, Cisco WebEx, Google Suite, and Blue Jeans. Very good. We have 18 responses so far, and WhatsApp has 8 respondents, followed tightly with email, and then the rest are distributed among Zoom, Teams, and other applications. Thank you for participating. So this shows us clearly that in enabling staff work remotely, any tools that render itself to the ability of staff collaborating and engaging in a very seamless manner is the most welcome. So whether you find yourself comfortable using WhatsApp or other applications, I think they are just good for you to go. Okay, so we are back with the presentation. We had 23 respondents, and WhatsApp scored 10, email 4, and then we had Teams with 3 and Zoom coming with 2, with the other options also trailing right behind. Currently 24 respondents. Thank you again for taking part in the poll. So we can continue, and we'll look at another applications or suite that is available to us. We look at Google Suite. So Google Suite is a suite of applications from Google. So anyone using a Gmail account or having an account on Google is pretty much familiar with the different applications available on this platform. So applications like Google Docs, Google Drive, Google Sheet, Google Meet are applications that are part of the Google Suite package. However, Google Suite is accessible mainly on a corporate basis, that is for organizations. So you have Google Suite for private companies, for non-profit organizations, or for government or education. And most of the applications that are in Google Suite are already those that you are familiar with when you use your ordinary Gmail account. And just that they come with some added advantages in terms of storage, for instance, and just a few, 1 or 2 differences in terms of the add-ons that you can use or leverage. And we are expecting that Google Suite for non-profit may be available for non-profit organizations pretty soon in West Africa. So when that is the case, we'll update you and hopefully organize a dedicated webinar to look in detail into the different usages that you can make using Google Suite. We can go on to discuss other tools. We are now looking at Office 365. And Office 365 has different options that you can also use pretty much as Google Suite. So before we go on a little in detail, we'll play a 1-minute video for you to get to abreast yourself with a quick tour of the Office 365 interface. So you have the video played to you in just a bit, but in the meantime, I would like to take a look at your submissions. Yes, thank you, Joel, for sharing. My organization uses WhatsApp, Zoom, and email mostly. Excellent. I would like to know more on the conference features for Zoom, apart from the normal video meetings. Yes, you can host a large virtual conference using Zoom. With the enterprise license, you have access to up to 500 attendees. With the business license, you can host up to 300 attendees. With the pro license, you can host up to 100 attendees. But when you choose the webinar license, right, the webinar license gives you a little more in terms of attendees. You have a plan that you can have add-on of attendees if you wish. So the webinar license has different options that you can decide to choose. Very flexible plan that can accommodate your need. And it also has an option with different panel members. So let's jump onto the video, and then we'll be back to continue with our conversations and presentation. Thank you.
What is Office 365? It's an integrated experience of apps and services to pursue your passion and grow your business. Get apps like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and more, updated monthly with the latest features and security updates. Use cloud-powered email to reach customers and coworkers wherever work takes you. Collaborate in Microsoft Teams, the new hub for teamwork, where you can chat, organize meetings, and share files. Save files to OneDrive with 1 terabyte of online storage, allowing access across devices and on the go. Run your business with the business apps, empowering you to manage customer scheduling, invoicing, referrals, and more, all from one place. Protect your data with 24/7 security and support backed by Microsoft. With Office 365, you have more time to build your business and achieve even more.
Welcome back. I hope the video was useful. We can proceed with the overview of Office 365. We'll just basically look at what are some of the benefits. In using Office 365, just as with any other package that has those kind of features, you can access your document anywhere. And I mean mainly when you have cloud-based applications, you can access your document virtually from anywhere, and that helps you in terms of efficiency. You can access it on mobile, on desktop, on laptop, on tablets, and wherever you find yourself. You can work together collaboratively and edit documents, and also facilitate information sharing and knowledge management within the organization. It helps you to project a very professional outlook, and it doesn't require much technical expertise to manage or operate an Office 365 application or package for your organization. So very pretty, handy, and easy to use for anyone with basic knowledge in IT. What are some of the applications that make up the Office 365 package? They range from office productivity tools that we are already familiar with, like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Access, to other applications like OneDrive for storage, personal storage in your work environment. You have up to 1 terabyte of personal storage for every user. You also have SharePoint. You have Teams, Planner, Forms to create questionnaires like what we are using for the poll, Skype for business, Visio, and many other applications. This is just a very short selection of the ranges of applications you can have available in the package. Let's go on again, and then we'll look at how to use those. So for instance, with the Office applications, what is interesting here is that you can use those applications both online and desktop, depending on the package that you have subscribed to on Office 365. And then it enables you to create and to edit documents. As I have commented, if you have staff working remotely, that is really useful and helpful for you, especially when you need to receive input from different colleagues. You don't need to subscribe to any updates of your license of your application when you are using Office 365 productivity suites, because you'll be up to date with the latest version of the Office tools. And also, you will not have issue with compatibility of the applications across your staff members. So these are different options that you can consider when choosing to select Office 365 licenses for your organization. And when you have any interruption of power or internet connection, your document is not lost when you are editing it online. It just saves itself up to the latest point, and the moment you can connect back, it refreshes. We have also spoken about Exchange and Exchange, which is for email management, and Outlook desktop. So with Office 365, you also have access to email service. We could see from the poll that many colleagues are using emails, but then it's good if you are using an email service that is common for everyone around the organization, where you have the same usage and you have a seamless kind of experience across board for you to collaborate together. So with the Office 365 email exchange online, you have your colleagues interacting with the same interface with high security features, and then the storage capacity ranges from 50 gigabytes of storage in your email inbox to unlimited storage, depending on the license type that you choose, which is a very good news for many of us. And then you also have protection against spams and malwares because of the security features that have been built in. Now let's look at the OneDrive and SharePoint, which are file storage application. OneDrive is more for personal storage within your work environment. So it means that any document you are storing on OneDrive is strictly for you as a user in the organization, and nobody can access it, but you can share access to some files, sharing the link. And that is also useful because then it saves you the data or the storage of your email. You don't have to always upload files onto your email. And that happens mostly when you are not working on a common platform and when it is not backed by the cloud. SharePoint helps for collaborative and common storage of documents. So you have your documents stored at one place where you can edit and review together. And SharePoint really feed into different other applications like we'll be looking at in the next slide. So we have what is called groups. So groups are teams, engagement or interaction platforms that you can create using your Office 365 account, and it's basically supported by the SharePoint features. So it's really seamless, and it enables you to have conversation within your team members beyond the email, your personal email inbox. And also that feed into other applications like Teams. And we will look at Teams very closely. Teams help you to make calls and to interact with your colleagues across the organization. Here again is a feature of the groups that I have spoken about. Like I said, it kind of cuts across different applications. So you can use that for conversation, for meetings, sharing of files through SharePoint, and then also assign tasks and manage different deliverables using Planner. You can also take notes during meetings using OneNote, and you can generate reports, graphs, and model data using Power BI. All of that can be, all those different applications can be used whilst you leverage the capability of the groups that you have created. So Planner, like we have already mentioned, helps you to manage roles and distribute assignment across your team members. So instead of having staff members working in silos, when you have a Planner group, you can create different roles for them or among your team, and then set timeline. You can add notes to the task that you are delivering, and also update with a kind of checklist. So it's pretty handy to monitor and track progress within an organization, which for us is really like the essence of working seamlessly and in a very productive manner. And it also helps with accountability. Remember, we have mentioned that accountability was top of mind when it comes to the major concerns that we need to address. So that helps you. And we are looking at Power BI also. That helps you to generate your report and share it across your team. So if you are working on different projects and you have someone in charge of managing data, you can build different data set, different reports using the data set coming from those projects, and share more like a bigger picture report, aggregated report from the different sections for management, for project teams, for staff. And you can also use those figures or statistics to build your case during proposal writing or when you are engaging with partners. So it's very key for you to remain on top of issues. Like we have already said, all of those enable you to work across different devices. So when you get onto Teams, for instance, as we have already shared, you can chat and share your files and collaborate. And then also, it is integrated with the other applications that we have mentioned. So talking about a dedicated workspace, this is really a very useful application that you can consider if you would like to have your various systems integrated in the way that you do not need to move on different platforms for you to deliver your work. Just at one place, you have your document that are stored. You can edit your document together. You can add your Power BI reports. You can interact with your team members, and you can have meetings with both your team members and other partners using the calendar application in Teams. So it's a one-stop shop for you to maximize your collaboration. It helps you to have consistent experiences everywhere, very intelligent and intuitive, and it is also secure for you to collaborate. There are 5 main steps that I would like to look at when it comes to using Teams, and really that we believe if you are able to follow those steps, then you will be on for a very successful experience. The first thing to do is to create a team for your projects or your department or your programs. You can choose the different sections for which you need to create a team. Then you can add a channel underneath each team. So a channel is more like a space for you to have a topic-based conversation, as opposed to the broader team where you can talk about different perspectives. So you can be more specific about what you want to look at. And then you can upload documents to the channel, such as your budget, your schedule, and other information, document, and guidelines for your teams and colleagues. As a fourth step, we encourage you to pin some of the applications that are available to you. Like we said, Teams has integrated application such as Trello, Planner, Smartsheet, Power BI, and many more. And then the final step is for you to schedule and hold recurring or impromptu meetings with key stakeholders. Let's now do a practical demo of the team environment, and together we'll see how that works out. But in the meantime, if you have any questions so far, you can continue to share and let us know what are the issues that you are facing, what are your experiences, how do you use those applications, those that I've mentioned that they were using Teams. How is your experience with Teams or with email or with any other application that you are using? Please feel free to share, and we'll do well to engage and discuss on those different applications. In the meantime, I'll go on to share my screen. So this is a Teams environment. So on the left-hand side of your Teams, and currently I am browsing from the web platform to open Teams. To open Teams, if you have an account, you come to teams.microsoft.com, just as simple as that, and then you log in. If you have already signed in, then it opens for you to interact. Assuming you want to log into Teams from your Office 365 account, you can just type in office.com, very simple and practical. Then you look at the Teams icon, and then you click on it. Other applications from the Office 365 suite are available here, like the Outlook for email, like OneDrive, right? Then you can do also Word or Excel. So many other applications are available to you, but here we are looking at Teams. So I can shut down all the other applications. So like I said, teams.microsoft.com, you sign in, and then this is where your Teams will be working from. So here on the left-hand side, you have different options like your activities and feeds available. That shows the different conversations, anything that relates to your interaction. You can filter those based on specific criteria that you are looking for. You can type in name of people here to see those that you have interacted with. Then you have the chat. The chat is more one-on-one conversation based, right, with individuals. You can assign, you can look for somebody within your team that you can discuss with, right? Or you can invite different people that you like to have a conversation with. And right from there, when you initiate a conversation in Teams, from the chat, you can engage here. One thing that is interesting with Teams, if you have this chat, for instance, and you want to invite, assuming you have like a conversation that has already gone on, and you want to invite someone in the future, there's a likelihood that, assuming I want to add someone else, it says don't include the chat history. So you may decide not to include the chat history, or you may include the history of your previous conversation so that those that are joining your team will be abreast with whatever has been discussed before they join, which is very good and handy when you are having new colleagues that are joining your team. And the same experience happens when you are using an actual team space. So chat is more one-on-one conversation or informal groups for engagement, but the Teams is more of a formal. And you remember we have looked at the groups, the SharePoint groups in Office 365. Those Teams groups that you have here are connected to your Office 365 groups so that all your documents are integrated. So you don't need to duplicate document. Anything that you have uploaded in your files under any of your teams. So if I go under any of my teams and I have some document there, all those documents exist also in my Office 365 groups platform. So I don't need to duplicate. And I can also bring in more documents that are there that I have not directly uploaded here. So if I go and I say add cloud storage, for instance, it will be looking for the different groups where I have some document and ask me to choose the document I want to add, and those will be added here. Then you have your calendar where you can book meetings, right? Assuming next week I want to book a meeting, I can choose a date. When I want to book a meeting, I just click on it, then I add a meeting with partners. Then I set the time. It will be for 1 hour. You can put some comments here. Also, something very useful is that you can choose a channel existing in your Teams app to send that invite. So assuming I want to copy in my tech team, then I choose the general channel. So I don't need to add attendees from this team individually, which is pretty useful. And I send this invite. Now in organizing a meeting, so this is one way. You can come here and just click on new meeting. It's just the same experience as the one I just showed. You choose the date that you want to have the meeting, right? You set the time. If it's a recurring meeting like we do have at Waxy, and you choose the date, you can make it a recurring meeting. For instance, every Monday at 10 a.m., we organize our staff meeting. So you can choose the start date and then the end date. It could be 11:30, just choose 11. Then you come here and you choose where it is written, do not repeat. You can make it a weekly meetings so that every week at that particular day time, staff will receive notification and they will join your meeting. Another option we have here is the live event. As we are currently using this feature, the live event accommodates up to 10,000 attendants. And the normal meeting can accommodate up to 250 attendants. But with the normal meeting, everyone can have the floor and interact. You can mute attendees, all right? But then as and when they need to engage, they can unmute themselves and contribute directly. With the live event, they use the Q&A feature to post their comment or questions. And you have moderators that kind of manage the conversation and the presenter that kind of deliver the presentation. So that's how the live event is managed. And if you have any meeting that is not scheduled, but you want to interact with any of your team members, you can go with the Meet Now. This is impromptu. Just as we saw with the Zoom app, in the Teams app also, you can go to the calendar and have a Meet Now option. Right from the calendar, or go to the Teams where you want to have the impromptu meeting. Assuming my project team, we are in the survey channel, and I want to have an impromptu meeting, I can decide to click on that and to open up the option for me to keep the video on or off and then begin the meeting immediately. In your Teams group, you can decide to have private channels. So within the same team, some of your channels could be private, where only like a few of your team members who are privy to the information will be invited, as opposed to all of the team members. So that is at the discretion of those interacting or creating the team to look at what options. So for instance, this has been marked as private because I assume if there are surveys going on, it doesn't necessarily need to be to the benefit of all the team members, but just to those that handle the data. So this is to your discretion. And then, like we said, you can add files. So I can come here and I can decide to add files. So you come here, you do upload, you choose a file from your desktop or wherever you want to add it, and then you add those documents. It will be uploading here. Once a file has been uploaded onto a Teams, every member of this team can have access to the file and edit it at the same time. And you can also have calls, direct calls to individuals. And this makes the end of the quick tour of Teams. Thank you again for following with us. We can go back to the presentation and we'll take your questions or comments. So whilst you are submitting these inputs, we are getting to the Q&A session, and I'll hand over to Stella to help us go through some of the questions available, and we'll be taking them on gradually. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank, for this comprehensive presentation and the demos. It was really helpful, and I'm sure participants can attest to that. Thank you so much also for your participation. So before we answer pending questions and the new ones that will be coming, I would like to inform you that this webinar is the first of series we'll be having. So watch out for the second one we'll be having in 3 weeks on digital security. Thank you so much. As Frank mentioned, we'll be taking some of the questions available. So Frank, a question was on, Ketura would like to know the difference between Office and Office 365. So if Frank can just take that.
Thank you, Stella, and thank you for the question, Ketura. So Office 365 is a suite of applications that is made up of different applications that you can use, and the office productivity tools, as we all know, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and the rest are part of the Office 365 package, and they come with added advantages when you use them as part of an Office 365 subscription. For instance, you can create and edit documents online from the web browser without having to set up or install Office tools on your computer. So any computer that you take and you log in with your Office 365 license, you can go on, click on log in with your account, click on Word Online, and you begin to create and edit document without having to install any Office application on your computer or any computer that you are using, which is very handy. Now, if you, depending on the license you have, if you have an option that helps you to use it on the desktop, you can continue working on the desktop by installing the application on your desktop from the Office 365 subscription that you have, which is really amazing. And you don't need to have a separate subscription or installation of Office application. So this is basically the straight answer I can provide to this question. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. There is Elliot from St. Ghana. He said he used Teams and he had some issues which he listed. So he said he cannot synchronize Outlook online addresses to his Teams. So, and he cannot also stream Microsoft Teams to social media platform like Facebook and YouTube, and also Twitter. And he can also find the features to allow participants to raise hands. So if you can help him with these questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Elliot. These are very important questions. We would like to engage with you to look into some of the issues that you have mentioned, but I can quickly go over a few of them. For instance, the raise hand feature will soon be available. There has been a recent update from Microsoft, and that will be available during the course of this month of May. So this is something that you should be looking out for. The stream is a typical application for your Office 365 package. It is not an application to be used on an external platform. What you could do rather is, if you have a video from an external source, you can import it into Stream and then you can edit it. One of the good features of Stream, for instance, is that you can activate the transcription right from your videos after you've had a meeting, and from there you can generate reports or record of your meeting for future reference. And about the syncing of the online addresses, I think that's something that we can look at off the meeting to see how we can assist you. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Joel would like to know if Teams also have different plans like Zoom, like Basic, Pro, Business.
Okay, so because Teams is an application from Office 365, it comes along with the different Office 365 applications or license types. So you have the basic license type, which is Microsoft 365 Basic, or formerly called Office 365 Business Essentials, which is a cloud-only application, and that allow you to have Teams. So Teams is available across all the different plans of Office 365, just that some may have more features than others, especially those on the enterprise side. For instance, the live event option is only available on the enterprise type of licenses. So if you are using a business essential or business premium licenses, you cannot activate the live event feature. You can use the meeting option that can accommodate up to 250 participants. But for the live event that accommodate up to 10,000 participants, you need to be on the enterprise licenses. And those are the Enterprise E1, Enterprise E3, and Enterprise E5. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Frank. I think we have, before I'll take second question myself, but before that, Joel would also like to know, Joel said for team live event, is it possible to know the number of participants? Can participants see and interact with one another? That's from Joel.
Thank you again, Joel. Yes, you can know how many participants are in attendance, not from the participant view, because again, you do not have the direct interaction among participants, except for the chat and the forum that you are interacting with, but then the organizers have access to how many participants are in attendance. And like I said, the chat feature is where most of the interaction takes place, but not through audio contribution using the mic. The mic or direct contribution are made using the meeting option.
Okay, thank you so much. I think it's time for us to close, but I think Segun want to know how nonprofits will be able to get some of these tools. So we'll be also posting in the Q&A box the email to reach us on. TechSoup is a technology donation program for nonprofit organizations, and we give these tools to nonprofit at a highly discounted price or rate. So we'll be sending in the Q&A box our contact where you can reach us after this, and we'll be glad to assist you. Thank you. Okay.
Oh, thank you again, everyone, for participating. It was a good time spent this afternoon sharing a bit with you. I think one question that drew my attention, Stella, quickly for the benefit of the team and our participants is how do you improve productivity of your staff, knowing that colleagues are responding differently to the pressure or the new challenge of working from home. And I think that is of essence for us this afternoon. And we have tried to look at different suggestions, and one of which is to ensure that staff have a very structured working style. And that is also responsibility of managers and leaders to kind of check in with their staff to make sure that they are able to dedicate their time at the most appropriate moment of the day that they are productive to really concentrate on their work. And when they need to spare time for a few things during the day, they can maximize and double up at later hours to complete their work. So basically, the responsibility lies with each and everyone to ensure that they filter out distraction and remain focused at the time that they are working. So for instance, if there are a lot of distraction, you can have a set space where you isolate yourself. It could be your bedroom, a living room, or a place where there is no much interaction from around you, where you can really focus, right, to be productive. And then also from an organizational point of view, we really encourage you to have a common platform that you use so that you are not switching between different tools. One of the main productivity killers is to be multitasking and switching when you are pressed with time. So switching into emails and attending to calls and looking at other documents can really distract you. If you are able to find a dedicated workspace where you can edit and collaborate on documents and have your calls going on at the same time, then you'll be really maximizing on your deliverables than be focusing on other issues that, for instance, could be looked at another time. So we are getting to the end of the session, and we would like to leave you with a final quote, which says that two organizations have the same machine, right? But what makes the difference is not the machine you are using, but how you are using it. And we want to reiterate that how you use it, the commitment you make, the culture you build, and most essentially focusing on the mission of the organization and how the tools align with your strategies and aspiration is for us very critical in ensuring that you are successful in your remote working experience. The technology is not the end, but is an enabling factor for your productivity and success. Thank you again very much for your attention, and we hope to engage with you more in the future as we roll out the series of webinars. The next one will be on the 5th of June, and we'll be talking of on the 4th of June, sorry, and we'll be talking about digital security in the virtual workspace. So please keep abreast, and we will keep you informed of the future development. Thank you very much again for your attention, and hope to remain in touch. Bye.
And we'll be having a third poll. I don't know, we put it in the Q&A box, so you can take that. And I also like to let you know that this recording will be made available for you so that you can, in case you were having internet challenges when we were having the session, you can take it at your own pace when you have time. Thank you so much, and Enjoy the rest of your evening.